Welcome back for another edition of our Big 12 Power Rankings on to Week 5, recapping kind of what went down in the Big 12 in Week 4. This conference continues to just absolutely not know what it wants to be. Top teams losing to the middle of the pack. Bottom tier teams continuing to fall down the ladder. But let's go ahead. Let's get into this week's Big 12 Power Rankings. And we have a new number 1. Iowa State moving up. The Cyclones taking over that top spot, beating a bad conference team in Houston 20-0. Rocco Becht continues to be one of my favorite players in this conference. 17-28 for a $153 and a touchdown to close out that win over the Cougars. Number 2, ironically enough, is BYU. They continue to move on up the ladder. They had a nice touchdown win over Baylor, 34-28. Who saw this coming? BYU undefeated, 5-0 on the season, 2-0 in conference play. And then Kansas State, Liv Moss, baby, Liv Moss. If you know, you know. They are up to number 3. They got a massive, massive win over Oklahoma State, 42-20. This team needed that win after what happened against BYU. Oklahoma State also desperately needed that win, but they couldn't get it done. The Cowboys continue to slide week after week. Number 4, Utah drops from their top spot all the way to number 4 after a loss to the Arizona Wildcats. This team desperately needs Cam Rising if they are going to compete in this conference. Colorado sits at number 5. They jump up a couple spots after an impressive 27-point win over UCF. We're able to contain RJ Harvey, get it done. An impressive road victory for Colorado. Going into that game as 2 touchdown underdogs. Number 6, Arizona. The biggest leapers this week, jumping up, I believe, about 5 spots after that massive win over Utah, 23-10. I'm still not 100% sold on the Wildcats, but you gotta give credit where credit is due. That is a big win on the road in Salt Lake City. Number 7, Oklahoma State. Their fall continues, like I said earlier, because of a 22-point loss to Kansas State. Alan Bowman throwing the ball 50 times in that game. That is not a recipe for success, not when you have Ollie Gordon at running back. Tech stays put at 8. Arizona State still at 9. Didn't play a game last week. They got Kansas this week. Number 10, the biggest drop-off for any team that we've had thus far in the Big 12 Power Rankings. UCF falling 7 spots. 7 spots after a really bad loss to Colorado. Again, RJ Harvey, he's been the guy for the Knights this season. Only 77 yards. KJ Jefferson at quarterback still doesn't look the part. West Virginia drops to 11. TCU up 3 spots after a double-digit win over Kansas. Hoover and the Horned Frogs continue to impress through the air. 3-2 on the season. Baylor dropping to 13. Cincinnati, they fall only 1 spot after a competitive game against Tech. That one finished out 44-41. Kansas, they drop now to 15. This is a team that I believe I had in the top 4 to start the season, all the way down to 15 after losing to TCU 38-27. Kansas still in search of their first FBS win of the season. And then Houston, my goodness, you've stayed at 16 the entire season. I'm not sure you're going to ever get out of here. 1-4 on the season, already 0-2 in conference play after a 20-0 loss to Iowa State. Guys, this is going to be an interesting week heading into Big 12 play. Arizona State back in action against Kansas. Iowa State versus Baylor. Texas Tech and Arizona, going to be a sneaky one. A lot of teams on a bye week. Head to the comments. Let me know who is your number 1 in the Big 12 Power Rankings. Also, hit that like button, subscribe to PHNX Sports, and we will see you next time for another edition of the Big 12 Power Rankings.
We all silly like the mayor.